The argument in favor of that new technologies will put a stop to the current online culture. Um, so I think the straightforward argument um, can be given in a specific example of a bot, which would be a self-replicating bot. Say there's a bot that's mainly programmed to be um, a lockpick bot or a hacker, basically what we call a hacker. It means you fiddle around with the code, and then you see here's something where I could push something around a little bit, and then you keep trying, and it's basically the same thing that a mechanic does, and then you eventually find out how to pop a lock or something. But then if you have bots that could do this, then and they can self-replicate, and they're just set loose in order to cause havoc. Like Russia would probably set loose a lot of these if they get to the point where they want to. Because they've said, Putin's famously following Dugin, saying if there should be no more Russians worthy of the name, then there might as well be no more world. Which means not that the Russians would be physically exterminated, but that they would cease to be Russians. They would have to become folded into the mores of culture based on commerce, and based on the primary reason for existing is to try to get employment within a sort of absolute corporation. But this is not the main thing. That's just a possible motive for why these bots would be released. They may simply be released just because people build them and then they release them. Why not? There may be some already released. But first of all, the first ones that could probably only break into sort of bad apps, like apps that weren't really protected by good systems. Like Google has pretty good protection systems. Apple has good protection systems. But if you have some bad app on your download an app to be the timer in a chess game or something, and it's not that good of an app, you could have some vulnerabilities, and then somebody could pick the lock, or the bots could pick the lock, and so even a good system could be sort of compromised by a very feeble bot. But that's feeble by the current standards, because they're constantly improving. So we have all this kind of singularity problem somehow in the background, but they don't. It's sort of like it's subliminal, where people can't even see how the everything's changing, because it happens sort of in the same way. Certain moments, people are talking about high definition TV, but then high definition TV becomes sort of obvious and normal, and people stop paying that much attention to things like whether it's the number of pixels or something like that, and whether it's super high D or high D or whatever ceases to make that big a difference, and then you stop noticing it, and all kinds of things like that are happening all the time in improvement, so that the subliminal factors are adding to the power of these algorithms, these bots, these self-replicating bots. So you could have a self-replicating bot how should I say it? Like a cancer, which is cancers are always come in big in the microbiome. There's a big cell community, and then they keep replicating, and then you have a certain cancer species, and then sometimes it takes I think it's almost normal. It takes 20 years for the cancer species to get where it's really fighting the human cells in the body. That's usually how cancers form, and that's why you could wipe out some of them, but then if there's some left, then they reproduce. It's a war of the cancer cells against the human cells. So likewise, the people that work on these things, on these bots, their attitude is sort of like, what's a good bot? What's a bad bot? It's like saying, what's a good cell? What's a bad cell? What's a good cat? Are there bad cats? It's they don't look at it as a moral question exactly, because we don't know what the behavior of the bots will be when they're in the wild, so to speak. And but the reason why it seems like probably it will end in destruction is the following: because it's easier to constantly attack than it is to defend, because they could send the defense. Really, it's like the attacker just looks everywhere for the weak spots and fiddles around, and then the defender has to play sort of a catch-up game. Whether they see that the weak spot has been exploited, it's already too late, and then they could try a new iteration or something. But it's just easier for the bots that are attacking to take out the systems than it is for the systems to self-defend. So then it's sort of, there's two possibilities. One is that the bots would develop in the wild to do this, as it were, because some people would set a bot free that was self-replicating, and then it would, who knows what would happen. Physically, that means, just as with the cloud, the people say there's such a thing, oh, it's on the cloud. That just means it's in somebody else's computer somewhere in a warehouse or something. That's what the cloud is. It's a physical computer. But the same thing with these bots. It's actually, something's going to be happening in the physical systems of the internet, just as they happen now, but it will be by identifiable bots, which doesn't mean the same thing as an account on a social media thing or whatever, but it means that something's happening in the system that's like, breaking down. Certain systems are being broken down, and probably I say a bot is not that big a difference from what happens when we sometimes still today we reboot a system. You reboot a system because something mysterious has gone wrong in the system. The bots can operate on the same type of level. So it's like everything points to that. It's that thing, there's a clever phrase for it. Like this situation is catastrophic, but it's not dismal or something like that. It's like we know that it's catastrophic through this type of logical proof of what's happening, but at the same time it's not really happening. We don't really, for whatever reason, and maybe there is a real reason, we haven't seen a total collapse, and we haven't seen either China really successfully using its advantages in the quantum computing over us.